Hey, this is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. And this morning we saw mixed opens across the board. We had the S&P gapping higher, the NASDAQ gapping up above the prior day high, whereas the Russell and the Dow both gapped down below prior day lows. So we're kind of all over the place this morning. And since then, we have pushed higher. So the ones that gapped up pushed higher, as well as the ones that gapped down. They also have pushed higher, and we're trading up near the highs of the session. So what we're going to do this afternoon is take a look at what has happened historically when you're trading in the top portion of the range on the first trading day of the month in a bullish environment. And since we have such different opening locations for all of these markets, I am not going to be looking at an opening location this afternoon. So let's set this up. We'll look at all four instruments. We'll use an intraday time-based entry, and I'm recording this a little bit later than normal, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit later entry than normal just to make sure there's plenty of time to get this out. So we'll use 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, so this will be the last 60 minutes of trading in the futures. So 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. Eastern time is what this test will cover. The exits out at the regular closing hours close, which is 4:15 p.m. Eastern time. As I said, I'm going to skip over this opening filters section, which I normally use just because we are kind of all over the place with our opening locations. And then I'm going to go into the post-open filters. This is where I can add price action around what has happened within the session. And what we're going to say is at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, we are trading in the top half of the range. So if I hit this equals next to close in the top half of the intraday range, since this is using a 3:15 p.m. Eastern time entry, that's going to say at 3:15 you're trading in the top half of the intraday range. Next, I'm going to go into indicators, define our bullish environment as above a 10-day simple moving average, above a 200-day moving average. And lastly, I'm going into calendar to the unique days section and saying today is the first trading day of the month, and hit view results. And here we go. So these are the results of going long at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time, holding until 4:15 p.m. Eastern time on the first trading day of the month in a bullish environment when you are trading in the top half of the range at 3:15 p.m. Eastern time. So historically, dating back to 2003, the S&P has 55 samples, identical sample size there in the NASDAQ, 50 in the Dow, 43 in the Russell. So fairly similar sample sizes across the board. When I look at the win rates here, this isn't all that impressive. They're all just slightly better than 50-50, hanging around a 55% win rate. But if you look at the equity curve to the left, you can see the equity curves were flat, and they have started moving higher over the past handful of years. So somewhere around 2012 is where these start to creep higher. And that made me want to look at the table below so we can see some shorter time periods. And we can see here, I've got the S&P highlighted here in blue. The past 5 years, this has been a little bit stronger. So this is a more similar market environment to the long-term market environment. So in recent years, it's been a little bit more bullish to the upside there. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ past 5 years, pretty similar there. 2 out of 3 of those closing higher in the last hour. The Dow, last 5 years here, a little bit stronger, 72%, and the Russell, last 5 years, does not have very many samples, but most of those samples have closed higher. So that one definitely the lightest on samples there. But if you look at the Dow, we're looking at 72% on 18 samples over the past 5 years, and NASDAQ, a little over 20 samples, 2 out of 3 of those, as is the S&P 500, 22 samples, and about 64% of those moving higher in the past 5 years. So long term, this has not shown a strong bullish edge into the close, but in more recent memory, it has moved higher into the close on the first trading day of the month. So hopefully you found that interesting. Good luck, and we will see you next time.